Can you talk to us about heat stress injury prevention?
Well, heat's a big issue, especially if you're dealing in a hot environment, and California can get pretty hot, and especially during wildland season. Um, One of the challenges is first and foremost, you have to have a good foundation from a standpoint of understanding hydration, because you have to prevent it first. Because the last thing you want to do is have to deal with it. So by teaching early and doing it often, it allows you to educate them on how to properly hydrate. And so, for example, in our Wildland Academy, every individual every morning they do a couple things. We do an omega wave for heart rate variability, which is another topic, but they also do a urine test. So that they show up every morning with their little sample of urine, and they have to do a visual check. Okay, so first and foremost, think about the latrines you've seen, and there's a sign above the latrine that says, "Are you hydrated today?" And everybody laughs about it. But how many times have you actually done that? How many times have you practiced it?
I'm always curious how much that actually weighs in. Like if that is accurate.
Well, it is accurate. So here's what happens. They come in, they physically have to look at their urine against a card that has that color chart. That's one. That's step one. Step two is they're going to use a tool called a urine specific gravity refractor. And it's going to give us a numerical number that's equal to their level of hydration. And then they're going to test it themselves. So they're going to get really good after 21 days of testing their urine to understand what the data says, what that color says, and what their eyes interpreting that color is. And then we also do weigh-ins and weigh-outs. But that's part of our educational triangle, because once they leave the academy, they no longer have the USG. They still can do a scale. They can still do the color. We're good. Now, let's say that crew gets deployed out of county. The scale goes away, but they still can look at their urine. So we've taught them how to be self-reliant and taking care of their hydration, and that's just the educational component. Then we teach them about how to actually hydrate. Okay? The hydration is based upon the 1.5 liter rule. Your body can only absorb 1.5 liters per hour. So in that, we provide them all the water they want, all the water they can carry. They're going to carry an electrolyte solution known as drip drop. They're going to have access to that. And then they're going to have access to another product, which is a carbohydrate drink that they can actually drink it and maintain levels of carbohydrates or energy while they're working. Now, the key is to teach them how to use a little bit of each, keeping in mind that 1.5 liter rule. This way, they're getting all the proper nutrition, or should I say, they're getting the energy from the carbohydrate drink, they're getting the electrolytes, and they're getting the water, and they're maintaining their hydration. That's part of the strategy. The other component, which happens way before they ever get there, is we have a VO2 standard, that work capacity level that they have to meet. In fact, we're in the process of bumping it up even higher this year, going into next year's season. By having a standard requiring them to have a pretty high VO2 max, or the ability to work, that allows us to really slow down the increase of temperature of the body as it starts to work, because we know that the higher your VO2 is, the slower the process where you start to generate heat internally. So that's part of our prevention aspect of that. And then again, understanding the work ratios, we teach them about wet bulb and how that affects the atmospherics affect the crew. We're very protective during an academy, but once the season starts and we talk with our foreman, is as they spin weather to monitor weather patterns or weather behavior, by understanding the physiological stresses placed by the weather on their crew, it gives them an understanding of how much stress is being placed on them besides the terrain, the heat, and now the atmospherics, and he can now understand when to push and then when to pull back. So that in itself is how we tackle our heat illness type injuries.